Hey guys, Mark from GAK here. Bit of a different podcast this week. We had Jamie Dorr, who is the product manager of Boss UK, in to talk about some of the new products that Boss and Roland are releasing at NAMM and pre-NAMM this year. Now, unfortunately, we talked about some stuff that we weren't allowed to talk about, and we found out after the fact. So some of this podcast has had to be cut out. You'll see why, and I'll probably chip in again halfway through to explain the bits that we've cut out. Stick around for the end of the podcast because we recorded a little bit of extra stuff this morning. This is Sunday morning. I caught up with Matt and Joe via Google Hangouts to talk about their experiences using the pedals over the weekend and their kind of hands-on take of what the new Boss stuff is all about. So yeah, it's not going to be a regular podcast this week, although the first few bits will sound like it. Yeah, hope you enjoy it, and we might do some more weird stuff like this in the future. Thanks. Hello and welcome to the gak.co.uk Guitar Shop podcast. I am your host Mark Packham. Who is with me?
Hello, my name's Jay. I'm the assistant manager here in the guitar store.
Hello, my name's Matt and I'm the manager.
And I'm Joe and I'm here for bass-related things.
And we're joined by a very special guest this evening.
Well, special.
Well,
he's been here a couple of times.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
Mr. Jamie Dorr from Boss.
Indeed.
Now, for those not familiar with who you are, do you want to introduce yourself?
I am the guitar product manager for Boss and Roland. So I do amps, pedals, metronomes, anything with Boss written on it, basically.
Oh yeah, don't
any guitar related stuff.
You can run a metronome into a delay, so you know.
T-shirts, coasters.
If you haven't seen a DB90, then
you're not lived.
That's the pinnacle of
metronomical
technology.
Is that the best metronome they do?
DB90. Yeah.
Is that the most advanced metronome you can buy?
You're looking at me like there's something else.
I don't know.
TU80.
Should we move on?
What? No, hold on. Oh no,
think
Dr. B. Surely the Dr. B.
Isn't that's the DB90? Hence DB.
No, but they do a different. They don't. I thought they did a bigger one. Maybe not.
The 90. I hope I haven't got this wrong. It's one with the sliders, so you can.
Oh yeah, that's a
I
done.
thought it was like a 330 or something.
It's the done.
No, that's when you start going up to the drum machines.
No, the BA 330.
Oh no, we're getting way off topic now.
Jay Cross,
Yeah.
you were not with us last week. How was
No.
your Christmas and stuff?
Yeah, it was fine. Thank you. I wasn't here for some of it.
Okay.
And then here for some more of it, and then not here for some more, and I missed the podcast. Sorry.
What did you get up to when you were not here?
Not a lot. I played quite a bit of FIFA, drank some beers, went to a wedding. The wedding was good. The wedding was excellent.
Was it?
It was.
What was so excellent about it?
My favourite bit of the wedding was the fact. Well, not
When
my
they got
favourite bit of
married?
the wedding.
Yes.
No, I wasn't invited to that bit. I was only invited to the ceremony.
Yes.
Apparently, I got a bit boozy at the end, and and everyone was like dancing round the couple on their last dance, which was a Foo Fighters song.
Oh,
And-
did you knee slide and do the guitar?
No, but I was just yelling. I don't like the Foo Fighters at all. I don't really know why I was enjoying it. I
thought
think
you
it's because
did.
I was.
You
no.
wore a Foo Fighters t-shirt like last week.
No, that was you.
Live band or wedding DJ?
Wedding DJ, excellent wedding DJ. Although when I asked if he was going to play any Paul Simon, he looked at me like I was a weirdo. Paul Simon's, that's wedding music.
That's standard.
Wedding tunes. Have you seen that video? I put it up on Facebook a couple of times. It's a video that this fella has done, which is you can call
We've
me
spoken
Al.
about this,
And
yeah.
well, yeah, but I'm just talking to Jay.
Yeah, I know.
Which is why I was looking at it. I mean, I realise it doesn't come across on podcast form, but anyway, he does all of the parts of You Can Call Me Al on bass.
Amazing.
Like he's recorded every individual part, including the vocals, but on bass.
Amazing.
It's absolutely incredible. I love it.
I need to watch it now.
Yeah. That's
Should we
what I did with my
celebrate and
Christmas.
watch it? Or?
That's your Christmas.
No, we won't.
How about you, Jay? How was your
You
Christmas?
know about my Christmas, Mark. It sucked. But I did book a holiday, so it's all good now.
Nice.
It motivated me to book a holiday I can barely afford to pay for.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Austria.
Cool.
And it's a nice resort for snowboarding, and it's got a wellness spa attached to it.
Wellness.
Yeah,
The
taking
boss
it
supply the
upmarket.
snowboards and that.
No, unfortunately not.
The SB10.
SB10.
No.
The
Could look into it, I suppose, but
But maybe just like duct
Diversify.
tape two RC300s together. And
Perfect.
Sure.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Just
you
stick
could
with
tape a
regular
load of
snowboard.
BCB 60s together and use them as like a sleigh.
yeah. Or if if you're having trouble like walking through the snow, two FB500, FB500H, obviously the L's.
You need the high impedance to
Yeah,
go through
yeah.
the snow.
Really need to cut through.
Really needs to cut through.
Now, let's get marginally back on topic. Jay, you're here because we want to talk about Boss, I guess.
Yeah, you emotionally blackmailed into coming down and revealing my secrets to you.
Well, we've got some secrets to reveal. Let's leave those for a minute. I think we should talk about, we talked about it briefly on the podcast last week, how much of a good year last year was for Boss.
Yes.
And how much kind of it came back into the public consciousness, we sort of think. And a few new pedals, because the MDP stuff came out last year,
Yeah,
right? That was
yeah.
Terra Echo and...
multi-overtone, adaptive distortion.
Was that... we kind of agreed last week that kind of Boss is back on our minds, really. Has that been the case, do you think, across the country? Do you get more people talking to you about the...
Yeah, well, it's across the world, really. I mean, you guys, I spoke to you a bit about it, but everything is kind of changing at Boss and Roland at the moment. And over in Japan, there's like a whole new Boss team. And they didn't really come into full effect until this Monday, actually, when the rest of the team like left their old roles and came over to Boss.
Okay.
So that's like actually the Roland Amp team have joined them. They're in their own part of the building, and they're really keen to kind of just shake things up and freshen things up. And there's just a whole new vibe about the whole place, which is really cool, and it's really nice to be a part of that. And the communication is great. I mean, I've done this job for a couple of years now, so I know the guys a bit better, and we sort of talk about products that we could potentially build and make, and it's a really exciting place to be at the moment.
And you were over there recently, weren't you?
Yeah.
How was it going? Because have you been before, right?
Yeah.
How is it this
I've
time?
been
Is it a bit of a different vibe
yeah,
there?
Oh, completely.
Do they still have the
Completely,
suits?
yeah.
Did they
They still got them, and they still won't give me one. But it's before it was more of a presentation type thing.
Okay.
Whereas now it's more of a, I don't know, it's just like a load of Boss guys getting together. It's not that dissimilar to this, but where we normally talk to each other via Skype in different countries, we're all in the same place and everybody's speaking in English, which is lucky for me. But yeah, it's just amazing, and we can go out and we can have some beers and we can just talk about guitar stuff and product and what we could make and what we should make, and yeah, it's good fun.
And do you feel the response from customers has kind of been that? Have you seen a bit of an uptake in the MDP stuff? And
yeah, well, when that came out, as you know, everyone's kind of looking backwards, and I think some manufacturers have almost kind of pandered to the trend maybe a bit too much now. And I think when we first saw the MDP pedals, I was like, well, this is maybe a little bit out of people's comfort zones. But actually, it wasn't like that at all. Loads of people totally embraced it, and we're kind of, I think, looking for something a bit fresh, if you know what I mean.
I think it's, so there's so many boutique pedals out there, and a lot of companies have been established for a while, probably like losing places in people's minds. So now it's kind of like Boss has sort of slightly creep in. It's like, this pedal company, Boss. There's some people be like, I haven't really bought any Boss things because I've seen loads of it before, and now we're seeing people go, cool, TE2.
Yeah.
Like something that sounds totally different.
Yeah, I think, and those companies will always be a victim of their own success, won't they? This super, exclusive, like small batch pedals. They'll get a bit more famous and they'll produce a few more pedals, and then all of a sudden, there's another guy that's a bit more exclusive, and his pedal's got a dead fish drawn on it.
This one guy's blind and he builds pedals on top of a mountain, and he can only make one a year, and a goat ships it to.
But I guess the fun thing is,
can we get some of those in, because they sound really good.
Well, the goat actually walks from the top of the mountain to your front door.
Amazon are using drones. This guy's using a goat for delivery. I'm into it.
But it's nice to be, part of a kind of progressive company almost, if you know what I mean.
Definitely.
They're still looking forward while everyone else is just reinventing things constantly, which is a challenge. Like sometimes it's really, really hard, especially with guitar players. But it's this kind of refusal to believe that all the best gear has come and gone, you know. And
I think that's
some
really
people
important
like that,
as well.
you know.
I think that's really important. Is, you know, one of the things that we sort of have trouble with is people coming in, or not trouble with, but, you know, people come in and they say, nah, everything today's rubbish. It's like, well,
they like it with music as well. They're usually the same with music, and yeah, there's loads of bands that I love from the 60s and 70s and stuff like that. But I'd hate to believe that I will never hear songs as good as those songs.
Yeah,
you know? And there's always an album that comes along and it'll blow your mind. And I hope there's one coming next week, you know, and the year after that. So it's the same with gear. I think if we just keep reinventing stuff, then what's the point?
I mean,
you know?
I think the thing is now most effects fall into set categories. So overdrive, distortion, fuzz, chorus, flanger, phaser, delay, reverb. Like, you can't just go, it's like making a new colour. You can't just go, oh, we've just made this new we've made this new modulation type, but then that's still a type of modulation. It's like you can't just go, we've made all the effects now, so
but that was what was so refreshing, I think, about things like the Terror Echo. Just because, you know, it doesn't really sound like anything else. It takes elements of what other pedals are doing and kind of almost what Boss have done with just the digital delay stuff, and then spins it off in a completely bonkers way.
I'm no electronics expert, but I'm pretty sure that most of the limitations of all of that, you know, sort of point-to-point hand-soldered technology and components is pretty much maxed out now. Yeah. You know, without going over to something like MDP and almost running like a plug-in in a pedal that can do far more dynamic things, is the only way.
Some of the tones you get out of a TE2, you would normally have to plug like 3 or 4 pedals in to probably get anywhere close, and they wouldn't be as responsive or dynamic as something like that.
Yeah, and you don't want to. And you see guys like with computers running stuff, you know, but no one wants to go out with that live if they can avoid it. I wouldn't have thought.
No, I've seen a few bands where taking a laptop out has proven problematic, and they haven't had a backup, and they basically can't do their set because the guitarist, he's got loads of plugins running and it's just not happening.
I've seen quite a few like rig rundowns now with people, like there's a click track that goes to the drummer the whole time, but that click track's like synced to Ableton, and then they're running like like saying like a Kempfer with MIDI, and then as the click track goes on, the patches change. Yeah. So they're not like literally not doing anything but playing.
I don't know if I want to live in that world.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I know, but either. I mean, if you're in like Muse, then you probably wouldn't need to do that.
And it all went wrong. Yeah, they all had
all went wrong.
The sequencing, changing all their guitar effects and everything, and it kept going wrong.
I don't know. I like the exciting element that maybe something weird will happen.
I'm sure that's user error.
There's the whole dance of like, you know, trying to hit 2 or 3 different pedals on and off.
That's the thing. If you're using individual effects, that dance is the fact that it might go wrong can actually happen and make something cool. If your computer just breaks, then nothing cool is going to happen.
Unless you're starting a new genre of music that incorporates breaking computers. So
Anti-music.
I'm sure there was someone
stepping on things
recently that was using their Mac and it wasn't loud enough and they had to turn it up and it came through front house like that. I can't remember who it was.
So what we're saying is just get a Terror Echo and you won't have to.
You won't need a PC.
Tiny computers and pedals.
Now, Jay, we haven't got you here. Well, we've got you here to just have a chat, but there is a reason that you're here, and that's because today, which is the 15th, it's not actually today, but it will be when this goes out.
I'm in serious trouble.
Boss are announcing some new pedals just before the NAMM show. Should we talk about them? What do you want to talk about first?
What do you want to talk about first? Sure.
Well, I want you to say the names.
How many pedals? How many?
2 compacts and a multi.
Right.
I don't know how much I can actually say about the compacts.
Just say everything, and then we'll edit it as and when you speak to us.
Let's do.
It'll just cut from now.
Thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Let's do the compact pedals first, and then we can talk about the other thing in a bit more depth. So, 2 new compacts. Do you want to say the names?
Shall I say the names? And who hasn't seen them? You guys.
I haven't seen them.
Can we get them out on the table so we can
I've been working today.
Talk about
They're in my bag.
Yeah, get them out. I want to see them again.
Get them out. Okay.
No, we don't need to see them again. They can see pictures. That's fine. Say the names of them, because for people who don't know, the names are not what you expect.
No. So it's the OD1X.
Wait.
And the DS1X.
Okay, so this is where we have to stop. At this point in the podcast, after Jamie had revealed the new Boss pedals as the OD1X and the DS1X, we went on to talk about the sounds and some really, really in-depth technical bits and details about these new pedals, which we subsequently found out we weren't supposed to talk about. So, skip forward in the conversation and we talk about the new multi-effects that we are allowed to talk about, the new Boss ME80. So here's where the conversation picks up. Now you also brought down another pedal which we can talk a bit more about, and there's a bit more probably to say about. Boss have got new multi-effects this year. What is it?
It's the ME80.
The ME80.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously from the title, carrying on the grand tradition of the Boss ME series.
Yeah, ME5, I think the first one was in 88.
Right.
It came out, which was pretty revolutionary at the time. So for those who don't know the ME series, it's like a multi-effects with a completely knob-based interface, pretty much.
Okay.
So it's like having a load of pedals crammed into one chassis with an expression pedal on it.
So where are we up to currently? What is it's for people going in stores right now? What can they buy?
ME70, where you can get them still.
Okay.
So this is a direct.
So the ME70s are gone completely, replaced by the ME80.
ME80, yeah, or they will be in the next month.
And give us a brief overview of what you're getting on the 80. That you don't get on the 70. People might be familiar with the 70. What are you bringing new to the table this year?
Yeah, well, it's the same sort of golden formula, if you like, that's lasted us 20 odd years. But you've got MDP effects in there now, like Terror Echo, Multi Overtone. The preamps have been brushed up and they're off the GT100. The switches are completely different to anything you've seen on a Boss product before. They're like these twin. Almost look like a little seesaw.
Almost anything.
Oh, yeah. I need to see the pedal.
They're, yeah. Well, we can talk about it in a second. But I was really impressed with the.
It's like a slate grey colour, which I think is weirdly cool.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's got like USB recording, which the other one didn't, because it was really focused at a lot of live players. Like a lot of live players seem to enjoy using them. I guess because if you're in the middle of a gig and you still have that flexibility to bend down and turn the knob quickly and tweak something that you didn't have in traditional multi-effects with menus and things. So yeah, that can record, but then there's going to be a new part of the USB that's the editor on screen, which will also connect to something called Boss Tone Central, which will be like a hub for patches and content and artist patches, and one day like a whole user community. And there's even talk of like if you had an ME25, that when you could create your patches and you could bring them along with your different multi-effects.
Oh, really?
So if you were upgrading, you didn't have to go through that.
Don't have to go through and
recreate them.
Which I think is a big deal, actually.
Definitely.
I think it's something that puts a lot of people off, like upgrading their multi-effects.
Well, it allows you to buy into the brand as well without.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, because that was a big thing. I think a lot of people, when the GT100 came out, they were like, "Oh, this is wicked," but I'm playing a covers band or whatever, and I've got like 50 patches. I really don't want to have to
do it all over again.
Yeah,
it's great if that function is available. Is get people to
is there
their patches.
Any plans for a B?
I don't know at the moment.
Nah.
There is a lot of talk about bass gear though.
We'll maybe talk about some bass gear going forward. Let's just get back to what.
Shut up,
bass gear.
You can pipe in with.
Shall I go and get you guys a tea?
Plug the bass in though and give it a whirl.
I should actually.
Yeah, because that's another thing with this MDP technology is it doesn't seem to be so fussy about what you put in.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? It isn't like honed to guitar pickup input. Like we did some videos with synths and stuff like that, and because they can handle the sub and the super high frequencies, they seem to.
I saw an MO2 used with like a not a Gaia, whatever. Is the Gaia the most recent one?
The Gaia is the new SH.
Yeah, that just with like an MO2 sounded great.
Oh really?
Yeah, because it added in all these kind of upper octaves and all these sort of subharmonics and stuff.
Awesome. Well, loads of guys, are into monophonic synths at the moment, and a lot of them are stripped back and they haven't got any effects on board, and it's just a way of bringing them to life. Because especially on something like a Terror, you can go in mono and come out stereos. We were doing videos with like Junos and old ones.
My girlfriend uses my Boss ME50B through her SH101.
Cool.
Yeah.
For the kick drum as well.
The kick drum is awesome.
That's the only feature I'm gutted is not on the ME80 is the automated kick drum.
How many foot switches for pedals are 8 on the ME80?
Yeah, so, and there's one dedicated to switching between patch mode and manual mode, which I really like.
That's
one
really
of the
good.
best ones. That was one of the best.
So is it still split in the same way that we've seen them split before? So we've got like a drive section.
Yep. Cool. There's like an affection with EQ and another effect that you can choose from, so you can like kind of stack your effects together. I think in total, if you got everything going, you could have like 10 effects going at once, including like an MDP effect
separate
as well.
One for so the
MDP stuff's in there as well.
Yeah, TU2 and multi-overtones in there.
Because I think we tried to tether that out of you after you'd had a couple of beers at Christmas and you weren't saying nothing.
He was really good.
I was.
Well, apparently I guessed the name of one of the new compacts, but was talking too much about pedals to realise the joke.
You just reeling off names, and then you just went DS1X, and I just had to do like a poker face, like just take a swig of beer and just like. What? And it's like, I didn't have a word with Jeff because he's blatantly said something.
It was really funny because like Jay had sort of said, "Oh yeah, we're going to come in a month or so and we'll talk about," because we just gone out for a Christmas pint, and it was there's a couple of bits going on, and we just, as soon as you said there's a couple of bits, we just spent like an hour or something just like this is this.
It's horrible because you just really want to tell people. It's like having a dirty secret and just get it out.
Going back to the ME80, really impressed by the layout. Obviously, the dual switches, I reckon, is a huge thing. Because the ME70 stuff obviously is great, but a lot of people will connect external foot switches, and because you can add an FS6 to it, can't you, to get a bit more switching out of it
on the
70s.
Yeah.
So kind of overcoming that in the unit itself. Still got the control function on there to be able to do assignable switching within each preset.
The pedal modes are cool as well. Especially if you're into your more weird stuff.
Yeah, the expression pedal.
I had loads of fun with that. Like you've got like an oscillated delay.
Yeah, really?
Pedal.
Yeah,
you can click it down and it just oscillates the delay and changes the speed.
So has it still got all the same things that we've seen before on the... Actually, I don't even know what comes on the guitar expression pedal. I only know what comes on the bass one.
Well, so you've got octave up,
octave down.
Stuff. Yeah.
You've got hold.
Yeah, there's a freeze type.
Yeah, freeze effect in there. The new oscillated delay, delay level.
So you can have a delay level like super high effect level and feedback, and then kind of bring it in when you need to.
When the pedal's up, there's no delay at all, and then you can. That's really neat.
But you're also able to run 2 different delays at once, aren't you? Because in the FX2 section, which is switchable on/off, you could have
has a 4-band EQ in it as well.
Yeah, so it's
really?
4 band.
Wow.
So there's effectively you could have 2 EQs.
Yeah.
You could have the EQ on the preamp and a 4-band EQ, but that section also switches out for what they call FX2, which are another round of effects. So on your main part of the board, you could have a delay with the oscillated delay assigned. Is that right?
Yeah.
But you could also have a delay pedal just running all the time as well in your FX2 section. So something I don't think I've ever seen before on a multi-effect, certainly not on a Boss one. The ability to have a couple of different of the same type of effect at once.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that, but I mean, it's I'm sure you can, but I mean, not in that layout.
No,
where
Matt,
you
can you think of any multi-effect where you could run 2 delays or 2 phases at once?
Only the Line 6 M series
or the Zoom B3.
Yeah, there's obviously like
the G3. There's those Zoom pedals where there's 3 assignable pedals,
but none with an oscillated delay expression pedal.
No.
I mean, the thing is, we were talking about it before. Is that we're big fans of like the M5 and I bought a Zoom MS70 CDR, which just people are now like got their main sort of 3 or 4 pedals, but then like you see
3
it
or
just,
4.
Well, hold on, we're talking about
1 or 2,
people, not
us.
not
0 or 1.
and then they have, and you're seeing it now a lot more. People have got like a bigger multi effects on the side to kind of patch in, or to use all for all their weird stuff.
Well, that's made me rethink about my pedal board. I might take a few bits off, have like an ME, and then keep a few other like choice bits outside of it that it just can't do as I want it to. And there's a lot of guys that do that. I mean, we were talking to we did a video with Freddie from the Vaccines, a guitarist from the Vaccine, so not a what you'd call like a crazy guitar tone at all, really vintagey kind of sound. And he had like a pedal train board with an ME70 and a line selector to bring it in, and then just had like a bunch of other like stomps. So I think it was like 4 across the bottom. And so he'd use like the regular stomps, and then for sounds where he'd need like reverb and tremolo or whatever at the same time, he'd just bring the ME70 in. And like if you were just to stand at a distance and listen to it, you'd think it was all like vintage gear, And then
I'm really surprised about that, because I don't know a huge amount about the Vaccines, but that one song's really good. And there's the Teenage
Idol,
that sounds really good, and like it does all sound like that's a great song, and it does sound like it does all sound like,
the thing is,
Teddy into a twin or something.
I did it. I did a gig with an ME70 straight into
desk,
which is then being sampled and played back live, and like it sounded amazing.
Well, if you plug into the headphone jack, it will do a speaker emulation out.
Yeah, it was amazing. Through the front of the house and through the monitors, I was like, this sounds like I'm just plugging into an amp. Yeah,
it's cool. And he even went on to say, I think we did an interview with him somewhere, and it's around, that when they recorded the album, they went and sourced all the original pedals that he was basically using, like a CE1 and things like that.
Oh, right.
They just had loads of grief, and then he said, "Can I just bring my ME70 back?" And then they just recorded. They recorded from that. Yeah,
that's pretty impressive, isn't
it? It's mad. Yeah, it really is.
So I'm looking forward to when people get their hands on the ME80. I want to see what people are doing with it.
Because getting my hands on the ME80.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
Where is it?
You're not allowed to play with it.
Where's your bag, Jay?
Guitars only.
Actually, I don't even know where it is. Where is it?
So I want to see what people do with it, because, like you're saying, there's loads of stuff on there. There's stuff where it's definitely... It's cool, kind of almost like a remix on the 70, in that there's loads of other stuff added in, and loads more ways that you can bolt effects chains together and add new bits into how it's kind of laid out. And like you're saying, the tone library, is it called Tone Central?
Yeah,
is that what it's going to be called? I'm quite enthusiastic about that. I always like that sort of thing, and I think Boss doing it very well there'll just be loads and loads of good patches up there.
Well, the plan is to bring in like GR55 and any developments on that line, GT, series as well, and then anything with where you can bring the patches in digitally. It will become like a hub, like a central resource for all that kind of stuff, and have like actual videos and you can hear. And then hopefully, I haven't seen the final bits for it yet, but we were talking about categorizing the patches in loads and loads of different ways. So you can say, I've got single coils, I've got humbuckers, I want metal, I want blues, I want proggy stuff, and so you can just like mine around, watch a few videos, listen to the clips, and then bring them down onto yours, and then you'll be able to edit them on screen if you want to tweak. And load them straight onto your board.
Obviously, the possibility of artist presets and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're already talking to some people, and there's plans underway to get that done as well, which is...
I'm looking forward to hearing the Vaccines exclusive. Is that something that was spoken about?
Maybe.
Oh yeah.
And Matt Knight, it sounds like territory that you want to get involved in and be uploading some presets.
Yeah, well, I mean, what I really liked, because you've got the separate button for the manual and the memory mode, is that you could, if you wanted to use it like just individual pedals, you can, but you can instantly go to something that's kind of oscillated delay and like a fuzz and vibrato and kind of
ring
create, well, that's the thing. It's got a ring modulator on it.
Oh my goodness!
There's everything that you want on your board in there.
I mean, that was amazing, because that is actually the first time they've actually ever done it in anything, I think.
Is that the first Boss ring mod?
No.
No, James.
But it's not a compact though, is there?
No,
I mean,
there's not. I wish there was.
Yeah, that's a
I keep
great
saying
idea.
that, but that's just for me.
Yeah.
Like another VB,
The
VB3, and they
the
go,
the RM1.
Just for me.
The ring mods are never. I can't think of anyone from the kind of standard line who does, apart from Electromonics, they do a ring mod, I think. But
That's
in terms of people
one,
doing
but-
compact-esque pedals, there's not really a single ring mod.
And the
there's
thing
a lot
is,
of
and
random
there
ones,
are when they are out there, they're really expensive.
Yeah. So, for the sort of price, I would imagine you can get like a boutique ring mod. Just get an ME80, and it's got a really good
Well, that's
ring
the
mod in
thing,
there
you know,
and loads of other stuff.
You could set up your individual pedals to have like the ring modulator, the TE2, the multi-overtone, and I don't know, like a fuzz or whatever, and then all your presets can be all your kind of stand stuff, and then all your individual.
That's
I have fun
ones
with the
would be
octave fuzz as well, which is a notoriously pain in the ass on any live gig or when you change gear. You know, fuzz pedals are like super fussy, aren't they? Especially
Yeah.
these octave ones. It's quite nice to have one on there, and you blend it in with the other effects, and it just doesn't go nuts, which I found quite cool.
I think it speaks volumes about Boss in 2014 that you could have a pedal board in their multi-effects that's like octave fuzz into a ring modulator into like Terror Echo, which is a really quite a bizarre effect, into the oscillated delay.
I love it.
That's like
I love it. I like bring on the weirdness.
Oh, that's such a good
and
idea.
all for what? It's going to be just over 200 quid.
Is it
So
still?
it's
Oh my-
Is it still just 9 volt?
Yeah.
Is it? Will it just run off a PSP one?
PSP one, yeah.
And actually, it's got a control switch.
And it's got
on it.
batteries. You can run it with batteries if you're desperate.
Really?
I think
Wow, okay.
they said 8 hours on like good quality batteries and 2 on your pound shop batteries.
Wow.
I am looking forward to these a lot, more so than I think I've looked forward to a multi-effects
Ever.
for as long as I can remember, really, because they kind of always they normally iterate by just putting more patches in. Seems to be the way that these things happen. Whereas this, I think, actually is a rethink about what guitarists want off a pedal board.
Yeah.
In 2014, is that a lot of people do want slightly weirder stuff and more emphasis on like weird fuzzes and things like that. I think this is just
That's why
really
the
good.
GT100 changed the interface completely on that. It was like people are bored of menus. They want to be able to change things quickly. So just have it so you can press effect and it comes up on the screen and you can turn one knob and it's changed.
Definitely.
I was
It just
going to
takes it
say
one step
exactly the
further.
same thing. It's great that it's come out in the ME edition, so it's completely rotary controlled as well. To have this much innovation that's actually thought through for the live musician is brilliant. Because as you say, it's great having lots of stuff on a pedal board, but if you've got a really complicated menu of how to actually use any of that stuff live, it's pretty useless.
Gents, I think have we talked enough? Is there anything else that you want to say about Boss in the future?
They're the best.
Not really.
Try them out. Buy one. Preferably from us.
Are you on
like
commission
cheesy
now?
sign out
Yeah.
or something?
What, sorry?
I need some like Anchorman-esque cheesy sign out. I need to.
Well, we just normally do.
You should all have your own. To be fair, who's seen Anchorman too?
I can't trust Jay to do. Jay's like the Brick Tamlin of. Should we wrap this up? All happy with that?
I'm happy.
Good.
I'm happy with new Boss products and this podcast.
Excellent. So keep an eye on the site really, because we've got loads of new products coming in. Obviously around NAMM time. There'll be more details on the
Nap
new
time.
nap time. There'll be more details on the Boss stuff coming up. We've got some videos going live. Jamie, thanks so much for coming in. Where can people find out about Boss these days? What are your Twitter, Facebook, website, bits?
Best place to head to is the official Roland website is roland.co.uk. You can find Boss UK on Facebook. From there, you can find our Instagram as well if you want to follow Instagram. That's the best.
How about on Twitter if
place.
people want to shout at you?
I'm avoiding it because I can't remember the
It's
exact.
at the Boss
At the Boss
UK.
UK. Thank
I
you.
know this because
Sorry, I'm tired,
I tweeted Boss the other day, but I didn't put the Boss UK, and Boss UK are a band.
Oh wow.
You sure they're not called Bossick?
Yeah, that's it, Bossick.
Bossick.
Yeah, I accidentally tweeted them, and they tweeted back.
Do they say this is not the Bossick you're looking for?
Nice.
Anyway,
So, should we recap that? Shall I recap that?
it's at the Boss
At the
UK.
Boss UK.
That'll do. I think we've got.
Brilliant.
Go and say hello to Jay. He's very friendly. He's very nice, and often shares pictures of ridiculously big pedal boards, which are always interesting to look at.
I love that.
Yeah, just the best thing to look at on the internet. Maybe not.
I like cats.
J Cross, where can people find you and your cats?
My email address is j.cross@gak.co.uk, or you can ask me for pictures of my cat on Twitter, which is JAYBM1. Those are the things.
Good. Matt Knight, where can people find you?
You can email me, matt.knight@jak.co.uk, or you can find me on Twitter at matt_knight, so that's Knight with SIE on the end. I've got loads of new gear arriving in the post shortly.
I'm excited about your new gear.
Keep an eye.
Keep an eye. Joe Branton, where can people find you?
If you want to email me, you can do that at joe.branton@jak.co.uk, or you can tweet me at Joseph_900. I'm still into extended range this week, so tweet me about that. Oh, I know what I'm into. I know what I'm really into. I'm really into the idea of a 5-string bass.
Oh, God.
That is tuned E to C.
Okay, any thoughts on that? Do get in touch with Joe.
I don't understand.
What's the 900 relevance?
My other band that was called 900 Spaces.
Okay.
Joseph_900. That's.
He basically tried to find the most inconvenient thing to say to people. You didn't really think that one through, did you?
What?
Like how you were gonna say it out loud.
Say what out loud?
Joseph_900.
Yeah, maybe not.
A bit wordy.
Yeah, all right.
Mine's just 6 letters. Well, 5 letters and a number.
Yeah, all right.
Forward thinking.
Well done, Joe.
Yeah, but I don't get mistweets from people.
Who shit?
Well,
mistweets?
Yeah, you know.
People have blatantly
Before-
turned this off by now.
Before this descends into chaos, if you want to get in touch with us at the podcast, best way to get in touch is podcast@gak.co.uk.
While you're talking, they're all gone.
Indeed. Or you can get in touch with GAK on Facebook, facebook.com/GAK Music, or on the official Twitter, which is @GAK_co_UK. If you want to talk to me about anything, I want to talk about new NAMM stuff. I'm going to NAMM. I want to know what you want to see, what videos you want to see. You can tweet me at @mark_random.
We haven't really made a big enough deal about that, I don't think.
Well,
you're going to NAMM, and
No.
We've got another podcast next week where I'll give you a bit more of a rundown.
And what I'd really like to see is me in Mark Packham's plane suit.
Right, thanks very much.
cheers.
Bye.
Bye.
Farewell.
Okay, so it's Sunday morning before this podcast goes out, and I've already explained in the podcast that we said a lot of things about the pedals that we shouldn't have done or couldn't have done, so we had to trim that down. So what I thought it would be cool to do would be to do a little catch up with Matt and Joe, who have both tried the pedal, and get their thoughts on it. Really. Good morning, boys.
Hello. Good morning.
How's it going?
Yeah, good. Yeah,
Good. We should
Sunday
explain.
morning. It's a bit odd for a podcast.
Should explain that we're doing this over Google Hangouts, so if the audio sounds a little bit weird, that is the reason why. If it sounds a little bit glitchy, it's because we're not in the same room. This is the first time we've ever done this, and it's a bit weird.
Technology is cool.
Technology is cool. I'm sort of into this, and
Yeah, this is awesome.
I like we can do emergency podcasts like this if we ever need to. It's good.
I also like the fact that I wouldn't necessarily ever need to leave my house.
Yeah, I mean that's always a bonus.
And you're nowhere near us. You're in London.
Yeah, and I can flip between Joe and Mark. I can depend on who I want to look
their
at.
faces. Mine's at the moment. Mine's on Joe, but now it's on Matt. Oh, it's weird.
Yeah.
So,
Joe's webcam isn't very good, so I prefer looking at Mark.
yeah, good. Joe's got the glitchiest camera. Boss ME80. What are your thoughts? You both had it for Matt. You've had it this weekend. Joe, you had it for over an evening to try it out on bass.
That's right.
Joe, what were your thoughts first on bass?
Yeah, actually, surprisingly good. There were some things. It is. I don't think you can get away from the fact that it is a guitar-intended pedal. So there are a few bits on there that really weren't applicable. For example, it's got the very first foot switch on there will do with amp simulations, and they're your standard like JC Clean, Combo, Tweed, Stack, that sort of thing, and all of those suck a lot of the low end out of the signal. So that's not really usable. But pretty much everything else was, including the drives, which I was quite happy with. But yeah, the massive amount of delay features, I found very useful.
Yeah, I mean, I worked out earlier that you can actually have technically 4 delays on at once.
Yeah, I think I was doing that.
How did you manage that? How did you get 4 delays on?
You can
you can have it on the second EQ, and then there's delays on 3 of the other effects, and you can also have it on the expression pedal.
Yeah. So it's bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. This thing. It's so good.
I think we mentioned it. We mentioned it in the podcast, but it seems to be like designed by someone who has gone. Okay, people. A lot of the time, their pedal boards, people are buying like Strymon, things like that, just for kind of weird out there sounds. But no one's really like put a lot of that stuff into multi-effects yet.
I think the thing is, it's like we've talked a lot about the M5 and the M9 and stuff like that, and this is kind of the same thing.
Yes,
it's so well designed for a lot of things, but especially for like ambient or post rock things, they've sort of almost gone, let's just do something for that.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I was using things like the ring mod with the octave fuzz, and they have towards the end there's a strange sort of harmony setting. That do you know what it's called? You've got the pedal there.
You've got harmonist.
There was an overtone. That was it.
Oh yeah, that's the Boss in the MO2, isn't it?
Yeah, which was absolutely brilliant. I was using all those with a bit of delay and having the expression pedal geared to kind of glitch out the terror echo effect, so that you could have it sort of just explode with delay sounds.
So you could also, with the control function on there, you could also bring in things like, because you can use that to like adjust parameters, can't you? So you can have it flip between 2 parameters.
Yeah, well basically in manual mode, the button that's for control doesn't do anything. It only does something in memory mode. But the good thing is...
in manual mode, doesn't it turn reverb on and off?
It turns the reverb on and off. But what's amazing, in manual mode, or memory mode rather, you can have 8 presets, but one preset could be your sort of rock sound, but the control button can turn on and off the delay. So it's almost like having another stomp box within your stomp box of like your multi-sound setting. So yeah, you can use the control function to switch on a load of other patches within a patch already.
Can't you? So can you use it to like adjust parameters with it on a pedal that as well? I'm sure Jamie was saying that you could, set like a low amount of delay feedback and then a high amount of delay feedback, and it will flick between those 2.
Yeah, I think probably the way you would do it, because I haven't worked out how to do that, but the way that I tried to do it was set the control pedal that when you hit it on, it turned on a different delay pedal with more feedback. Okay, so you could almost flip between 2 different delay sounds.
Right. So you could use that in like as an oscillating distortion as well as like the pedal as well.
Yeah, I mean, effectively in memory mode, you could just set a preset that was just an amp model with reverb, and then the control could turn on a fuzz pedal, a delay, and a modulation as well.
Definitely.
So you can use it to switch in multiple pedals in one shot as well, which is really handy.
So have you been building up some patches and messing around with that side of things? And
yeah, I mean, we were talking. I don't know what's left from what we were talking about before, but we were saying that guy from the vaccines had an ME70 that he was using on a pedal board. I think you could probably just use that with a couple of other pedals. It sort of covered all the bases, really.
Yeah.
I'm just really, really impressed by how much you can get in it, and the fact you've got all the pedal effects on it as well are absolutely amazing.
Well, the thing I was most impressed with is that they've put things like the multi-overtone and the terror echo in there. Which, how much are they singly? They're coming up to £100 on their own, aren't they?
Well, yeah, I mean they're £129 each. Well, so those 2 combined are going to probably, I think, be more expensive than the ME70 is going to be to buy.
Yeah, we're not sure exactly on the price, but it's going to be just over £200, isn't it? Something like that.
I'd imagine they'll price it around the same price as the ME70.
Yeah, which is pretty amazing, really. And there's loads more in there than the ME70, like loads more in there.
Well, I mean, it's just the fact that you can effectively on manual mode, you've got 7 buttons that do 7 different separate control features and the expression pedal as well.
And all rotary control.
Yeah, all hands on. So I just think it's like the perfect balance between something like, single pedals and something like a GT100, which is a bit more menu based. I think it's the closest Boss have ever got on their kind of like hands on pedals to the stuff that they do in their more, like menu based stuff in terms of the amount of effects that are in there.
I mean, for us, and we talk about it a lot, Line 6, M5 and M9, especially the M9 where it's like having separate pedals in one box. I think this is even better than that. All right, so you don't have like 100 different types of effects, but all the effects in there are totally usable. I just think
it's kind of like quite a nice trimmed down version of that, because to an extent you don't need whatever it is, 30 different types of drive, which the M5 and 9 have on there. There's just a really good selection.
And it's much more, I think it's much more hands-on than those as well, because obviously those, because they are, especially when you're looking at something like the M5, because they cram a load of stuff into a really small box, there's not really enough room for like effect-specific controls. They're coming up with, when you change the effect, you've got 3 parameters, but sometimes you need a bit more than that, or you need them to be for a particular effect. You need to be able to just get your hands on that particular effect's control straight away.
Well, because the one thing that I really like about it is, before on the ME70, if you wanted to use the looper, you couldn't really have any delay. So on this one now, you can effectively, the modulation's got a delay on it, and the second effect or EQ section has also got a delay on it. So you can have different delays for loops as well. So you can still use the looper as a fully functional looper and still have all the effects as well, which is really nice. And obviously using things like, my 2 favourite features so far have got to be the freeze mode and the oscillating delay on the expression pedal.
Yeah, the oscillating delay is brilliant. I'm using it a lot.
Because you can actually use that almost as another delay. On the lowest setting, it just works like another delay, but when you shift it forward, it just oscillates it. And it almost sounds like a space echo. I think that's almost where they've ripped it from.
Yeah, they've definitely thought about the delays a lot more, because delay, I tend to find on the Boss multi-effects, or the ones that have come in the past, there's always been, it's just kind of there at the end, really. You just get your standard digital delay, you might get an analog sound, and then there's nothing else usually. You get a few different like digital delay times, like on the DD7. But with this, like, they seem to have thought about that a lot more and looked at what pedals people are buying and gone, okay, carbon copy's been really popular, so we need something like a kind of bit more earthy, a bit more kind of out there delay-wise and things like that.
Well, as well, like, they've put things on, like, the octave setting on the compression stomp box series is actually like the OC2 and 3.
Yeah.
I think they've thought about pedals.
Rather than 4.
Yeah, I think they've thought about what effects or vintage Boss effects people are asking about and put them on there as well.
Definitely.
So like the vibrato's much nicer. You've got the slow gear on there, but you've also got a ring modulator on there. They've never put a ring modulator in anything. I don't think there's even a ring modulator in the GT100.
No, it's been a long time. I think, didn't they do like? I don't think they've ever done a compact ring mod, have they?
No, there's never been a compact ring modulator.
Yeah, I wonder if it's the first time that they've actually ever done one.
Yeah, well, hopefully they'll put it in a single pedal. That'd be good.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, it's brilliant, really useful, the ring mod. I was messing around with that a bit.
Definitely. I know we haven't had time to go into the like, or probably because it's not up and running yet. I don't think the kind of like library type, the librarian software and sharing patches and stuff like that. I'm not sure how much of that they're going to roll out kind of during NAMM or post NAMM, but that's another feature that we talked about in the podcast. I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that kind of what now that you've looked at the pedal. Do you think you're going to be sharing sounds and doing things like that?
Yeah, I think what I would do, the way that I've got it pictured in my mind, if I was going to use one, is have the memory mode and have a load of presets that were just like banks of sounds with a control pedal you can switch something in, but then have manual mode set up to like 4 sounds that I really wanted to use all the time or just wanted to bring in randomly. So I could just, if I was going to do something ambient, I could just quickly go to manual mode and switch all these bits in and then just set a load of core preset sounds that I can, but it'd be nice to be able to like organise them in terms of song lists or, anything that you were doing. And especially if you're like a functions band, I think that'd be really handy.
Definitely. It'd be good to be able to plug things in and then just like name them on an actual computer keyboard rather than having to like dial them in like you do on most multi-effects. Yeah. So if you're doing a whole bunch of songs, I think the USB compatibility is really good. And for sharing as well, I think I can see you guys knocking up a few patches that we then share around.
Well, it's an idea that's worked so well for TC and Boss have the monopoly on this, so it's going to be more popular than the TC.
Definitely.
I think I really think this year is going to be good for Boss. I think they've thought about what other people are doing, and I think they've realised they're falling behind slightly, and they've kind of gone, right, okay, what can we do? And I think this is probably the start of something that's going to be...
like it, doesn't it? It's much more refreshing.
Yeah, it just feels like almost like a new company's come out and gone, hey, look at all these new effects we've got, let's do this, that and the other. And they're kind of, they're doing what other people are doing, but I think because they've got such a big name behind them already, I think it's going to be a really good success.
Yeah.
Definitely.
One thing we haven't mentioned about the pedal, actually, speaking of kind of the Boss starting to be more innovative again, is the cradle style pedals that they've.
Yeah, they kind of rock. They're two buttons in one that kind of look like they kind of rock on a kind of pivot point, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now on audio, I don't. That's not going to make a lot of sense to many people, but it's a great way of fitting more pedals onto a reasonably sized multi effect.
Definitely.
It's smaller than a GT100, so
yeah, definitely. Okay, gents, I think that about covers it. Yeah, I mean, unless you guys have got any more thoughts, but I think that sort of does it. And what we said in the podcast will kind of cover it all.
Well, we're going to do a video on it, I suppose, at some point, aren't we? So
there should be a video up when people are hearing this podcast. There'll be a video up. I mean, it depends where they listen to it, but there'll be a video up on Wednesday.
Yeah, I reckon if we did one, we'd do it in a couple of parts just to show all the different bits, because I've been using it through headphones and through an amp, and through headphones it sounds absolutely cracking. Amazing. Because the amp modeling's so good, and just the fact that you can turn the amp modelling on and off, so if you want to have it on there, you can, and you can just turn it off as and when you want.
That makes it incredibly usable for bass players, because I can turn it off.
Definitely.
Otherwise, if it was a permanent feature, this pedal would be useless for bass players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Anyway, I better go. And thanks very much, gents. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.
See you in a bit.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.